So it looks like we're getting another Wii U game ported to the Switch. There really aren't a whole lot of games left exclusive on the Wii U that have not been put over to Nintendo's newer portable machine, and that's a good thing. I know I did a whole video talking about the benefits of this goofy little half step of a system, but ultimately, I am all about game preservation. I have no problem with ports of older games as long as they're done well. And it looks like Mario 3D World is in for one hell of an upgrade when it jumps platforms, as we see with Bowser's Fury. I'm interested to see what's going on with Bowser Jr. here, and seen a lot more open 3D environments akin to Odyssey, moving away from the more linear levels of 3D World. It sounds like there's a whole slew of new mechanics at play. I completed the original release like 100%, but there is enough here that might convince me to come back to this adventure. Oh, and, of course, Mario goes Super Saiyan and has a straight-up kaiju fight? I've had a lot of people nitpick me on Twitter saying that he's supposed to be a lion, and to anyone about to leave that comment, I will tell you what I told them. I don't care if that's a lion. You put that haircut on Simba, people are still gonna call it a Super Saiyan. Still, it wasn't this design that caught my eye from that first trailer. It was this one, God Slayer Bowser. Yes, I know that's not the actual name, that's just something the internet made up and everyone just assumed that was the actual name. But whatever Nintendo comes up with instead, it's nowhere near as cool as that. I really love this look, and if he ever gets a figure, I will own it. But as much as I love it, I couldn't help but look at his puffy little face and think to myself, he could look cooler still. And that's when it hit me. He has looked cooler before. I had somehow forgotten about another prominent transformation of the Great Dragon Turtle. Behold, the glory of Giga Bowser. I mean, holy cow, what a design. This is as extra as it gets. This looks like a McFarlane action figure version of Bowser. I remember the first time I saw this sucker in Melee. Keep in mind, this was in the era when all this stuff was nifty and new, so it was still cool that we had a playable Mewtwo, Ganondorf, Zelda, Sheik. I mean, that's all well and cool, but what is that? There have been a lot of variations of Mario characters throughout the years, but none have been quite as drastic as this. If it was just a bigger Bowser, that'd be one thing, but this dude straight up breaks into a completely different art style. A few years back, I gave some turtle Pokemon the TMNT treatment, and I was keen to move on to some other pop culture turds, and Bowser was on the top of that list, but when you look at Giga Bowser, it looks like Nintendo themselves already did that. You just slap a bandana on him and he's good. He looks like he juices pure mutagen. He looks like he walked off the set of Ninja Turtles 2. Guys, I'm just a really big Ninja Turtles fan. There's no big backstory to this video, my dudes. I just wanted to gush about this spiky boy. Fury Bowser is a fantastic look, but we're gonna take a few minutes to talk about this radical design. He actually looks dangerous. That's not something you see too often from the Great Koopa King. You won't actually fight Giga in any mainline Mario game. He was created specifically for Smash Bros. And while his prominence within that series seems to diminish a little more with each passing game, he still remains a staple of that series. And honestly, I'm pretty okay with that. I wasn't joking when I said this dude busted out of his traditional art style. Giga does not look like he would fit in a traditional Mushroom Kingdom. He isn't gonna kidnap Princess Peach, he's gonna straight up maul the poor girl. Then again, Odyssey did let you turn into a T-Rex, so who am I to say what styles fit? Oh, but that'd be a dope fight though, Mario T-Rex versus Giga Bowser? Yeah! Oh man, oh, that was not good on my voice. Giga Bowser was apparently considered to appear in the Skylanders game where Bowser showed up for a minute, but I guess they just went with Magma Bowser instead. So in Smash, Giga remains. Like I said, there's no elaborate backstory for us to pick apart here. He only exists because the spectacular Sakurai deemed it to be. While the Melee and Brawl version of Bowser Classic already looks a little more animalistic and aggressive compared to what you see in Mario games, Sakurai looked at that design and was like, we can do better. This dude still looks like a pillow. Yeah, he thought Bowser looked too cute. Funny, coming from the guy who created Kirby. He wanted a more terrifying version of the King, one that was actually based off the original sprite from Super Mario Bros. When he was a kid playing that game, that's how he interpreted those old sprites. So now that he had the power to do something about it, he did, and we're all the better for it. The scaly Super Beast first appeared in Melee with a glorious glorious introduction and a truly epic fight. He only showed up at the end of the adventure runs with a normal or higher difficulty, and then again as a final challenge for the event mode, where the player had to take on the Titan Turtle, as well as Mewtwo and Ganondorf. This stressed me out so bad back in the day, but man, this was a glorious battle. And you could play him by hacking, but I'm not about to mess with that, so I can't speak to it. Apparently it mostly works just fine. The announcer even has his name recorded, so it's likely that the developers played around with the idea of letting the player control him in some fashion, but if you did hack the game and then win with Giga Bowser, the lack of a victory pose apparently crashed the game. Modders have worked around this, but again, it's nothing I'm gonna play around with myself, so best of luck to you. And you can actually play him in an official capacity in the follow-up game, Brawl, for 10 seconds. Giga shows up as Bowser's final smash. He has all the standard moves of Bowser, but they're now all souped up. Also, I guess he can freeze you too, because being burned alive and stabbed with fingernails wasn't bad enough. Giga would return again for 3DS and Wii U Smash as a final smash, and that was really cool, don't get me wrong, but taking him out of the boss spot just, I don't know, made him feel a little less cool. He would thankfully reappear as a boss fight in Smash Ultimate, and also doubles as a final smash for Bowser, but alas, you can no longer control him, unless, of course, you hack the game. There really only are little hints of this design through the Smash series, be it as a boss or a finishing move, but regardless of my preferences of appearances, I do have to admit I appreciate the restraint on the developers when it comes to this design, especially considering this is not a series known for restraint. I mean, look at those rosters. And don't get me wrong, I would not complain if we saw more of him. I seriously don't understand how there isn't a figure of this guy out there. Also, I don't want to give the impression that I'm making this video just to scoff in the face of anyone who's gushing over Fury Bowser, because it's a great design. Look at that. That would make a sick grill. But as much as I like it, I do worry that a future Smash game might replace Giga with Fury. That might be a needless worry, but even if this is a Mario character, this transformation is an icon of the Smash franchise. There isn't a great deal in those games that is unique to their universe outside of a couple of hands and some vague forms for end battle bosses. I'm just saying I'd like to see Giga Bowser stick around, and actually, he could be a good starting reference to work off of for a future Smash game. Look, Ultimate is packed to the brim as it is. As of this video, we still don't have all the characters included. I don't really believe it's reasonable for a follow-up to have this much content again. I know I'm not the first to say this, but scaling back would probably be the best way to go. Focusing up on the multiplayer experience is a must, of course, especially online. I appreciate the creativity attempted with all the weird modes and rankings, but yeah, it's well past due for them to streamline this whole process and make a truly competent online competitive mode. That's its own topic, and one to be tackled by someone who knows a little bit more about what they're talking about than what I'm spouting out right now. Let's instead focus on a proper single-player experience. The adventure mode of Melee is still my favorite of all of them. I think they have some really cool ideas going on for Subspace, but even then I think that needs some paring down, and the Ultimate board game is, well, it exists. I think it'd be cool if the Smash developers were granted a little more freedom to make these iconic Nintendo characters stand out in some different ways. Considering how badass they've managed to make all these silly cartoon characters look before, I'd like to see what they could do with a little more creative liberty taken to a potential narrative. Again, I know I'm nowhere near close to being the first person to express this opinion. We all would love to see a more compelling narrative with proper character interactions and a more interesting single-player experience. They keep flirting with these themes, and I would very, very much like to see what this universe would look like if everyone was given the Giga treatment. I mean, look at what Sakurai did for Pit, for crying out loud. This is what he looked like before he got a hold of him. Hell, extend that to some third-party characters. Sega never seems to have a clear idea of what they're doing with Sonic, but man, I'd be really interested to see what Sakurai could do with the character. Actually, you know what? I've changed my mind. Bring in Fury Bowser, but give him the Giga treatment. Giga Fury Bowser! Yeah! And I need to make it clear, I love regular Bowser just fine. I just prefer him being a badass snapping turtle dragon boy. But I do love the more comedic take on the character. Both versions can exist just fine and nobody seems to make a stink about it. Sonic fans, Actually, I don't know. I don't really interact with the Nintendo communities a whole lot. Maybe they're just as obnoxious as Blue Boy fans. Who can say? Everyone's terrible. These characters endure, and they will endure for a very long time, so it doesn't hurt to see some different interpretations every now and then. Sonic, obviously, I grew up with all that craziness, and Ninja Turtle seems to have a brand new redesign every few years, and I'm super down with that. And don't even get me started on the world of superheroes and comics in general. And that's why Giga works for me. It's because there is a cuter standard design to compare to this crazy beast. And honestly, it's very rare for some badass reinterpretations of cuter characters to actually work. We've seen more serious takes on kid-friendly characters, and most of the time, they're just trying way too hard. Bummer, man. And you know, that's really all I got for you guys today. Fury Bowser just made me think of Giga Bowser, and I just really miss that design. I'm very thankful he still shows up in Smash games, but I just don't want him to go away, and while I'm fine with what we have, I would not mind just a little bit more, or at least some stupid plastic I could put on a shelf. I would greatly appreciate that. And like I said, it also inspired some thoughts about what else Sakurai could do with classic Nintendo characters. How cool would it be to get some proper Smash lore instead of just interpreting whatever game theory spits out at us? And no offense to game theory or what Sakurai said in interviews or this or that or the other. I do love all that stuff. I would just like something a little more concrete. I thought Subspace was boring, but I was so super excited to see these classic characters finally meet each other face to face and interact with each other. And even if it was mute, that was still my favorite part of that particular mode. I certainly wouldn't mind if we got a proper story of Smash versions of characters. Maybe an origin story for Giga Bowser. I feel like Sakurai has more brewing just under the surface for some of these designs, especially when you look at Kid Icarus, and honestly, I would like to see them go a little nuts. I'd like to see Nintendo get a little more bold with these beloved characters. And that's all the thoughts that sprung up just from thinking about Giga Bowser for a little while. Let me know what your favorite version of the Koopa King happens to be. Are you going to be giving Nintendo another $60 for a dolled up old game? No shame, I totally am. If you're new here and you want to keep hanging out, click the necessary buttons to get that done. Say hi to us on Discord. Just don't be an idiot or daddy spank. Twitter is also there if you want to talk to me in bird noises. I assume that's what it's for. I mean, that's all I do there. And of course, you can help support this channel over on Patreon if you'd like. And thank you, by the way, to everyone on Patreon who does support me. I'm trying to do a better job of shouting this out at the end of videos. I'm usually pretty terrible about it, and I've actually got to know some of these folks quite well over on Discord, and it has been an absolute pleasure and honor, and I am so excited to hear from you guys, to know what you think of this particular video. Would you like more smaller videos like this? Or are you still waiting around for more Sonic reviews, or what I think about Julie Sue or other Sonic characters? I don't know. Let me know. I love you guys. I gotta get back to work on some other projects. Toot toot, Koopa Troopas.